On the afternoon of July 14, 2018, a 65-year-old man named David Crump was driving through a national park with his wife in the seat beside him. It was a Saturday, the kind of Saturday people plan for months. They had come to the most photographed range in the eastern United States to do the single most ordinary thing a person can do there. They were driving the scenic road, not hiking a dangerous trail, not climbing anything, not swimming in a river with a current. They were sitting in a Kia going the speed limit on a paved federal highway in the middle of the most visited national park in America. By the time the sun went down, David Crump was dead on that pavement, and his wife was being flown to a hospital in a helicopter. There was no drunk driver in his car. There was no blown tire. There was no edge he wandered too close to. No cliff he leaned over. The thing that killed him began half a mile away in a different lane inside a vehicle he never saw coming. It reached across the center line and found him in the span of about a half a mile, and then it was over. This was not a freak accident. On this particular road, it is closer to a season. It happens in summer when the traffic thickens. It happens in October when the leaves turn and the cars back up for miles. It happens in the fog, and it happens on clear days like the one David Crump chose. Because here is the thing the brochures do not tell you. In Great Smoky Mountains National Park, a place that drew more than 12 million people in a single year, more than the Grand Canyon and Yosemite combined, the leading cause of death is not the bears, it is not the waterfalls, it is not the wilderness at all. According to the National Park Service itself, the leading causes of death in the Smokies are motor vehicle accidents and drowning. The most dangerous part of your trip is the drive-in, and the thing that makes this road feel safe is the exact thing that makes it lethal. Hold David Crump in your mind. Hold the empty seat beside him. We are going to come back to them. There is a road that runs through the center of the park. It is called Newfound Gap Road, though most people just know it as the Drive, the one that goes over the mountain from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, down into Cherokee, North Carolina. It is 31 miles long. It is the only fully paved road that crosses the interior of the park, which means if you want to see the Smokies from a car, this is very often the road you are on, and it does not feel like a mountain pass. That is the first lie the place tells you. It feels like an attraction. There is a visitor center at the bottom with clean bathrooms and a gift shop. There are wooden signs with carved lettering. The speed limit is gentle, 35 miles an hour, sometimes less. There are minivans in front of you and minivans behind you. Children are asleep in car seats. Somebody is eating fudge they bought in town. The road is smooth and it is patrolled and it is federal, and every cell in your body reads all of that as one simple message. You are safe here. Someone is in charge. But look at what the road is actually doing underneath you. Over those 31 miles, it climbs roughly 3,000 feet into the sky. It does not do this in a straight line. It does it in switchbacks and hairpins and blind curves, wrapping around the shoulders of the mountain, tunneling through rock, curling back over itself in a loop so tight the road literally crosses above its own path. The National Park Service describes it in words that should make you sit up. Steep, continuous grades, tight curves, no truck lanes, no runaway ramps, no place to slow down and pull over. Sit with that phrase. No place to slow down and pull over. They wrote that because they had to. Commercial trucks are banned from this road entirely, and the fine for taking one up there is up to $5,000, not because of paperwork, because the road cannot physically forgive a heavy vehicle that gets moving downhill and cannot stop. You are driving up a genuine mountain, but it has been dressed to look like a garden. And now we come to the name, because the name is the warning, and almost nobody hears it. Long before there was a road or a park or a gift shop, the Cherokee lived in these mountains, and they had a name for this place. Chacounage. It translates roughly to the place of the blue smoke. They named it for the haze, for that soft, otherworldly mist that pours off the ridges and settles into the valleys. The thing on every postcard, the thing you drove all this way to see. The Cherokee treated these mountains as sacred, and they named them before anything else for the smoke. Here is what the smoke actually is. It is not smoke. There is no fire. The trees of the Smokies release vast quantities of natural compounds into the air, and combined with the region's heavy rainfall and its thick, stagnant, humid air, those compounds form a fog, a real, physical, light-scattering fog that hangs over the mountains almost every morning and rolls back in with the rain. The most beautiful thing about this place is fog. And fog is the thing that erases the road. So let me walk you up the mountain the way you will actually drive it, because you probably will drive it someday, and I want you to understand what is happening around you while it feels like nothing is happening at all. Picture the start. You are at the bottom, near Gatlinburg. It is warm. The windows might be down. You have the whole day ahead of you, and a road that everyone said was gorgeous. You climb, and the forest changes around you, and it is genuinely lovely. And after about 20 minutes, something quietly begins to happen to your attention. You relax. That is the danger. Not a spike of it, the absence of it, because nothing has gone wrong, because the minivan ahead of you is fine, because you have driven 10,000 roads, and none of them killed you. So this one blends into all the others, and your eyes drift to the view, to your phone, to the passenger, to the kids in the back. The road is beautiful, precisely so that you will look away from it. Every overlook, every mountain layer fading into blue, every photograph you are already composing in your head is a small invitation to stop watching the pavement. You know this feeling. You know the boredom of a scenic drive, that soft, pleasant emptiness. That feeling is not safety. That feeling is the mountain asking for your attention while you give it to something else. Now the fog. It does not announce itself. You do not get a warning sign that says the next mile is white. You come around one more gentle curve at altitude, and you drive into a cloud. Not a metaphorical cloud. You are physically inside one now, because up here the clouds do not float above the mountain. They lie down on top of it. And in the space of a few seconds, the view you came for becomes the thing trying to kill you. Visibility, which was a mile, is now the front of your own hood. The taillights ahead of you vanish. The center line, your one thread of guidance, dissolves into gray. You are still moving. You are still on a curve. You are still descending. And your brain, which was half asleep on the scenery, now has less than a second to understand that the world just went blind. What do? Do you brake with a car somewhere behind you in the same blindness? Do you keep your speed into a curve you can no longer see? Do you drift right toward a shoulder that may not be there? Hold on to that question, because it has no good answer, and thousands of people face it on this road every single year. And here is the second killer, the one you cannot feel until it is too late. You spent the whole morning climbing. Now you are coming down. 3,000 feet of descent, curve after curve, and your instinct is to ride the brakes to feather them the whole way down. On a flat road, that is nothing. On a continuous mountain grade, it is a countdown. The brakes heat up. Heat makes them fade. Fade makes you press harder. Pressing harder makes more heat. And somewhere on that slope, on a long enough grade, the pedal goes soft under your foot at the exact moment you need it most, and you become one more vehicle on Newfound Gap Road that is moving and cannot stop. This is why the trucks are banned. But it is not only trucks that overheat brakes. It is a loaded minivan on a hot day with a driver who has never driven a real mountain in their life. And the third killer is the geometry itself. On a tight mountain curve, there is a center line, and it is the only thing standing between you and the people coming the other way. On a road this narrow, with curves this sharp, with drivers this distracted, that line gets crossed constantly. A motorcycle drifts wide. A driver looks at the view. A trailer, too long for the turn, swings across into the oncoming lane. And on a road with two directions of traffic and a mountain wall on one side, when someone crosses that line, the people in the other lane have nowhere to go. Except sometimes over the edge, because there is a fourth thing, and it is the one the title of this promised you, the one families never see coming. On long stretches of this road, there is no guardrail. There is the pavement, and then there is a shoulder of a few feet, and then there is nothing. A drop into a ravine, or a stand of trees, or a river running fast at the bottom of a gorge. In good weather, you would never notice, because you would never leave the road. But add the fog, add the fade, add the crossed line, add the 1 second of looking at your phone, and the shoulder is not a margin of safety anymore. It is the last thing you touch. Now let me show you the people, not statistics. People. Because every one of these was somebody's ordinary Saturday right up until it wasn't. In June of 2020, a 69-year-old man named Philip Rath was riding his motorcycle north on this road near the Chimney Tops trailhead. He crossed the center line. He struck a Honda minivan coming the other way, a family vehicle, the most innocent thing on the mountain. He did not survive. The people in the van did. Experience did not save him. He had presumably ridden for decades. The road did not care. 2 years later, in September, an 85-year-old man named Lyle Tidwell was riding a 3-wheeled motorcycle up the same road, his wife Bonnie riding behind him. Near that same loop between the trailheads, he lost control, veered across the center line, and hit an oncoming car. He died. Bonnie was flown out by helicopter. Caution did not save him. He was going slow enough, careful enough, old enough to know better. The center line found him anyway. In November of 2020, a 48-year-old man named Wesley Stedham pulled over at one of the overlooks, the famous kind. The kind with the wooden rail and the view that stops your breath. He stepped down the slope below the rail just a little to get a better photograph. He fell about 50 feet. He suffered severe head trauma, and rangers had to build a rope and pulley system just to reach his body and bring it back up to the parking lot where his car was still waiting. He did nothing reckless. He stepped down for a picture. Everyone reading this has stepped a little past a rail for a better shot. Planning did not save any of them. Age did not save them. Slowness did not save them. Standing perfectly still did not save Wesley Stedham. And then there is the one whose name the newspapers never printed, because on this road the deaths come often enough that many of them get a single paragraph and then silence. A woman driving alone in the fog. Her car left the road near the bridge by the Chimneys picnic area. It went off the pavement and fell 40 feet to the river below. There was no one else involved, no other driver to blame, just the fog and the curve and the drop that had no rail in front of it. People who were in the park that day said the same thing over and over. It was so foggy up there you could barely see. She was doing 10 miles an hour for all we know. It did not matter. Down there, at the bottom of the gorge, the smoke you came to admire does not look beautiful at all. And now the trucks, because this is the part that should frighten you most, since it is the one thing you cannot control by driving well. The park bans, commercial trucks, and the trucks come anyway. In one 24-hour period, park rangers had to turn away more than 45 large commercial vehicles trying to use this road as a shortcut. In that same stretch, a car hauler crashed into a wall and went down an embankment, and a semi-truck's brakes caught fire on the grade. And while emergency crews were in the scene of those wrecks, 8 more semi-trucks drove right past the responders and kept going up the mountain. That is what shares the road with your family. A vehicle the size of a house on a grade it was never meant to descend, driven by someone who ignored the sign and the fine and the physics. David Crump did everything right. He was going the right speed, in the right lane, on a clear day. A trailer being towed on that road fishtailed, and it reached across half a mile of traffic. And it did not care that he had done everything right. So here is what to do. Not someday. The next time you are on a mountain road, any of them. Slow down before the fog, not during it. The moment the view starts to soften and go white, you are already behind. Drop your speed while you can still see the reason to. Turn your lights on. Low beams, never high. High beams in fog bounce the light straight back into your own eyes and blind you faster. Do not ride your brakes down a long grade. Shift into a lower gear and let the engine hold you back so the brakes are still there when you actually need them. Never stop in the road, no matter how good the view is. If you cannot see, do not park in a lane trusting that the person behind you can. They cannot. That is the whole problem. Stay off the shoulder. On this road, the shoulder is not a safety margin. It is the edge of the map. And step past no railing for no photograph, ever. The picture is not worth what Wesley Stedham paid for it. Now I want to take one thing away from you gently, because I think it is the thing that gets people killed more than fog or grade or trucks. You keep thinking the mountain is out to get you. It is not. The mountain is not cruel. Cruelty would require it to notice you, and it does not. The fog does not roll in to hunt you. It rolls in because the trees exhale and the air is wet and cold and old. And it has been doing that for longer than there have been humans to drive into it. The drop past the shoulder is not a trap. It is simply the shape of a mountain, which is a thing that was here before your road and will be here after it. The center line is a line of paint. It stops nothing. It only asks. The Cherokee understood this. They did not call it the place of the beautiful view. They called it the place of the blue smoke, and they treated it as sacred, which is another way of saying they treated it as something far larger and far older and far more indifferent than themselves. The smoke is not a threat. It never was. It is just the mountain breathing. And the road we cut across its face is a courtesy the mountain never agreed to. That is the whole danger, in one sentence. You will treat this drive like a ride at a park, and the mountain will treat you like weather, like something passing through, like something it will not remember by morning. So let me give you back. David Crump, July 14th, 2018. A Saturday, 65 years old, from a small town in Georgia, on a scenic drive with his wife, doing the single most ordinary thing a visitor can do in the most visited national park in the entire country. He was in his lane. He was at his speed. He had done nothing wrong, and he would never get the chance to. And when it was over, when the road was closed for hours and the helicopters had come and gone, there was a Kia stopped on Newfound Gap Road with the driver's side ended and the passenger's side intact. His wife lived. She was flown out, and she survived. Which means that somewhere, that evening, in the fog coming down over the mountain, there was one empty seat where a moment before there had been a whole ordinary life driving through the smoke on the deadliest road in the gentlest-looking park in America. The mountain did not notice him leave. It never does. If you like this video, YouTube also thinks you are going to like this one on your screen. Go ahead and let it play.